Hello guys, welcome back to the channel where I'm normally covering racing games as The Crew 2, Forza Horizon 4 lately as well. So I thought let's have a look and compare these things here. Let's start with The Crew 2. This is more or less the map. We can already start with that. It's a pretty damn big map. It is covering the whole of the USA. If you go around this map, it will probably take you about an hour, maybe even longer if you do it in a stock car. If you go from the area here, which is New York, and you go to Los Angeles in some sort of fast car, it's probably going to take you 30-40 minutes to make it happen. So it is one bloody big map. What you can see here is more or less all the events happening, but they are situated around certain areas. New York, Miami, you have the Chicago, Detroit area, you have Las Vegas, and you have Los Angeles. A little bit happening here, San Francisco, Seattle, a little bit around the headquarters here, and that is about it. Other than that, you have many empty spaces. That is more or less in general the map. Now, if you come into this game, you can pick a starter car, and that is because you have to go to headquarters. Headquarters, they sort of work the same as the festivals in Horizon. I'm gonna compare both games in this video, so I will start in the Crew and I will go to Forza Horizon later, but that also means I'm constantly gonna compare the two with what is happening. Visually, I'm playing on 1080p 60 FPS. If I have, I don't know how it looks on stream, but on video it looks pretty much okay. For the Crew, for Forza, it works pretty much on stream, not so much on video. It's constantly lagging, but the game itself is not lagging on my PC. Any of those games, for that matter. What else can we find on that map is houses. In Forza Horizon 4, as you will see later, we have 12 houses. Yeah, they are there. You can buy them. They come with like extra features, but that's about it. In the Crew 2, you have these apartment buildings. There are 6 of them on the map, but unfortunately, due to some technical issues or due to some decision making, which was not the best idea ever, I think. But the houses are on the maps, but unfortunately, we only have 2. One is this in Miami, and if you are a season pass holder, VIP edition, whatever you want to call it, Gold edition, Motor edition, if you buy the highest editions available in this game, you get a second house in Los Angeles, but it looks exactly the same. The difference with Forza is that in the Crew 2 you can walk in these houses. This is your living room, you can walk around. You have an elevator where you can go to the garage. If we go to the garage quickly, we take the elevator, you wake up in the garage and come to the conclusion that that thing is empty again. This is very interesting. Normally you should have cars here, and they should save, which I did the last time I was in this game, and now my garage is completely empty again. So apparently there has been another patch which something went wrong. Normally the cars should save, and then you can put like 8 cars here. In the hangar you can put 8 planes, and in the harbor 8 boats or hovercrafts, because those are the kind of vehicles that we're playing around with here. If we go back to the living room, you have your 3 favorite vehicles, because yeah, you can switch on the fly with 3 vehicles. That is not a problem. This is the car. You want to switch to a plane, not a problem. Take out your plane. You want to switch to a boat, although you're on the road, you can switch to a boat or a hovercraft. They play in the boat area. Back to the cars. If you play this game the first time, you're gonna get the option of going to the headquarters that you want to go to. There are 4 headquarters. You can sort of compare it to the festivals in Forza Horizon 3 or so. It's a bit different in Forza Horizon 4 now, as you will see later. They have 1 headquarters, but because they are playing around with 4 seasons, they sort of become 4 festival sites, but it's all on 1 location in the new game. Not so much here. You have the street headquarters, which is in Los Angeles. You have the off-road headquarters, which is in the middle of nowhere in the desert. And you have the freestyle headquarters in bit north of Las Vegas, and you have the pro racing headquarters in New York. Each of these headquarters are containing 4 different disciplines. That means you have 16 different things to play around with in this game. And yeah, as we all know, that's cars and that's bikes and that's boats and that's planes. If we, for instance, go to the Street Racing HQ, if you enter there, you can walk around there as well. So it's also something which you cannot do in Forza, obviously. There you just do not walk around, but here you can. So to put it pretty simple, that dancing dude there is another player, by the way. But who it is, I have no idea. You can't see his name or anything. Of course, you can open something is called the chat box, which you can actually type whatever it is that you want to type. And that means pretty much okay. In Forza, on the other hand, you have something called quick chat. You have 250 preset commands, but you can only use 4, which makes it communication a little bit difficult. Here, in theory, you can open this session here, and you see 3 names here, including mine. So you know that that guy that was standing there is either Aridan86 or the Metroid Gamer, one of those 2. The disciplines in the street headquarters: street race, drift, drag car, and hyper cars. You can walk around. Yeah, you have a shop here, and in that shop you can buy certain stuff. Let's have a look. Season pass at this moment, and you can also buy some crew credit packs, which is it's not microtransitions, it's not pay to win or anything, but if you want to move forward and get some crew credits and buy cars faster, yeah, then you can spend real money in this game if you want. But it's not needed, so it's not microtransitions. It's just a way to get things faster if you want to spend money on it. Then you have a leaderboard, which is very much debatable, because as you can see, it's ruined by cheaters. Icon 7240, that is your level. That is just not possible. It's not possible. We are playing for 2 months or 3 months into this game. You can maybe be hardcore players, 1000, 1200. Icon will be it. Myself, as you can see, 412. Other than that, you can walk around here and stuff is happening in these headquarters. This is also the place where you step by step, those 4 disciplines: street race, drift, drag, and hypercar, they are not there from the beginning. So if you go into the beginning, that's sort of where you start the game. And then you can go in here and you can select 3 vehicles: a Dodge, a Ford Mustang, an Audi TTRS, and there was another one which I don't even recall. I think it was Japanese, so it was like a European, an American, and Japanese selection, and one of those 3 you pick as your starter car. Starter car is kind of important because you're stuck with that thing. You have to go through the campaign with that thing, because yeah, this is not Forza and they do not throw cars at you. You have to buy everything here, but you get this thing here. So if we go back out, you just walk about a little bit and you just walk out. Pretty simple. And you're back in your Hurricane, which I purchased later on. So that is for how the situation works. So you have 3 selections here, and then the story goes through, and then you will actually come into the off-road headquarters. There you will get a buggy to play around with. No choice of vehicles here, you just play around with it. Freestyle, you get a plane, same story, you just get a plane. No choice there available. And in pro racing you will get a boat. So you have a choice of 3 cars to begin with here, and you get an off-road car, you get a boat, and you get a plane, and that's about it. And then you go to the story thing, and that all goes more or less through the menu. So all of those things that you saw on the map, all of those activities, you can find in the menu as well. The 4 different headquarters, and then you have some side missions in the Live Extreme series, which were more or less transformer races in which you use 3 different disciplines. So in Street Race, you have the 4 different things that we just saw there in the headquarters itself. You can click on it, and then you have a bunch of things available which you can play around in. These are all street races if I go through them. And the same goes for if you pick another family. You have aerobatic, jet sprint, monster truck. So you have like 15, 16 different disciplines that you can play around in, different vehicles that you can play around with. That is already different than Forza, obviously. So that is more or less for the races itself. Yeah, the map itself, don't know if I talked about the size yet, but yeah, this thing is about 8 times to 10 times as big as the Forza map. So points are here for the crew too, probably. If we're gonna give points, then it's definitely the map size and the thing is. The problem with that is, you have these events on this map, but if you drive around a little bit, then you're gonna come to some strange conclusions. We are now in Los Angeles, so we are definitely going to find all kind of stuff happening in this area, but let's just drive out of Los Angeles a little bit. Visually, yeah, I'm playing both games on 1080p 60 FPS to make the comparisons a bit what it should be. But this is sort of the world that you are living in. You already see it, you have rocks, you have lots of trees. Don't really see anything else here unless you approach the city. And then you will see a house here or there on the side. Other than that, there's not much happening on the map. That is a bit of a problem that you have with this game. This is also one of the reasons why people are leaving the game is because of this crap, for instance. The handling and the physics, yeah, that is something is specific and people will always complain about it. Whether it's in this game or in another game, it doesn't matter. People have their preferences, and if it doesn't work like they want it to work, then you're gonna get complaints about it. If you approach the cities, you have these like highway roads and normal roads going underneath in the city where you can drive around. So a lot of things that you can play around with. So if you're like just driving around, then this is probably the game to go for, because you can drive around for hours here without being on the same road once. Again, it's like it's ridiculous. The problem with it is, as you already saw probably, is a lot of AI drivers, but where on earth are the other players? No idea. It is a big map, but this is an older game engine that they are using with a peer-to-peer system with a host. As you can see now in this F3 thing there. I'm the only one there. So I am here, this big huge map I'm driving around on, and I'm the only one in this session. In theory you can get 8 people, now it's loading up, there are 3 people joining my session now. The problem with that is that one of us is the host. If I, for instance, am the host and I decide to leave, the whole session will break and everybody will be gone. And then it takes a while before you get another session, and if you get moving, if I drive to Chicago or whatever, I'm gonna get other people in the session. Other than that, there's not much room to maneuver, as you can see on the highway. But nevertheless, damage model in both games is pretty non-existent. You can just hit cars and they will move over for you. Even buses, there you go. Just to move them over and you will get it done. But of course, see, we have the opportunity, like, oh, this is getting crowded. You can always just switch to a plane, go into the air, and then you get a better idea of this map. Although it is a bit foggy at the moment, but yeah, here you already see it. Trees all over the place, rocks all over the place. Here and there you see a road going through it, But other than that, there is not much happening on this map. There are no houses, there are no events happening here. Just gonna fly straight for a little bit and then you will see for yourself on the left and on the right what is happening. There's like one other guy in my session. There are some roads down there somewhere, but you have to fly close by to really see the structure happening. And then you will see like cars pop up out of nowhere. That's supposed to be traffic and stuff like that. Of course, I'm driving on a mountain area here. You can see a train going there as well. But that is a bit of the problem with this map. Is it's full of trees, and that is all fine if there would be like stuff to do on that map. If there was an incentive to explore this map, if there were, like in Forza for instance, the fast travel board, the influence boards, barn finds, stuff like that, car wrecks we had in the crew 1, the crew 2, they completely ignored those things and they didn't bother bringing them. So there is nothing to look for in this map. There is no incentive to go explore and do whatever it is that you want to do, because it just, there's no reason. There is no, why would you go explore if there are no car wrecks or whatever? It makes no sense. Once you're flying in that plane, I'm flying pretty low now. If I go higher, also the draw distance in this game is a bit, especially on PC, a bit piss poor, as I would call it. You have like green zones that are the forest. You have dirt zones, which seems to be dirt zones, but then if you close in, you will actually see that there are cities happening there and stuff like that. So it's like you fly from city to city and then it's all fine, but in between those cities is not much happening. It's trees, it's dirt land, it's mountains, and nothing is happening there. That is for the map wise. Then the campaign itself. You have those different disciplines and families going on, and yeah, you have to go through there. So that means that you have all kind of stuff happening in those 4 different disciplines in street, in those 4 different disciplines in off-road, in the for now 3 disciplines in freestyle, but I'm sure that with the December update stuff will come here as well as a 4th discipline, and in pro racing we also have 4 different. You have a variety of vehicles and motorsports, and so that is something, yeah, you will not find that in Forza. In Forza you're gonna have cars and that's it. So talking about those events, that's sort of the campaign. You have these 4 different families with all kind of disciplines. You go through there. If you do it slowly, it takes you a couple of weeks. If you do it fast, you can probably do it within a couple of days. That is the campaign to go through. Side missions, you have like, yeah, these things here. Episode number 1 is a tutorial race which you cannot redo. It will never pop up in your so if you start up the game you will do that live extreme series, the first race. Then you have race number 2, 3, 4 and 5. That was for the original story, and with the latest update we got another one, the September Spectacular, which involved the new hovercraft discipline. And then you have you go through all of those disciplines, and then you go through these things, and then you have the live extreme series, the grand finale. If you have beaten that thing, then you sort of have beaten the campaign, and then you are the Motor Nation Championship. And that's when your game starts, and then you think, okay, what are we going to do now? That is a bit of a problem. End game in this game is non-existent. At this moment in time, it is non-existent. If you went through the campaign, there is nothing to go through. There's nothing to do. There's no incentive to explore the map. There's nothing out on that map. There are stuff that you can search for. No point of interest, no landmarks. All things that we had in the crew 1, but they didn't bother to transfer those good stuff to the crew 2, which is in the end the sequel of the game. You have all kind of skill tests as well, but to see those things on the map you actually have to zoom in a bit. Oh my god. Don't right click your mouse or you will actually undo whatever it is you did. So if you look at it like this, you see this big map here. That's all fine, and these are all events, and these things are the side missions, the live extremes. That's what, like the 3 different colors, because you use 3 different disciplines on the game. So that is sort of for the events. If you want to see the skill test, you have to zoom in a bit, and then you see these things pop up, like a slalom, aerobatic stuff, a speed trap, that kind of thing. Also there you will find, if you zoom in, several of them. Those are more or less things that you can do on the site. What you also see is, my goodness, just want to move the map. There you have these things here as well. Those are photo missions, which is also something linked to missions that you can do. You have to take pictures all over the place from specific things out there. That is also, it's part of the story. It's not so much part of the story in Forza, as you will see later. Then we go into buying a car, or getting cars, or stuff like that. That is where the problem comes into play. If you, well, I don't find it a problem, but some people might find it a problem. That is, in this game, they do not throw cars at you at all. So you get your, that's why it's very important that you wisely choose a pretty good starter's car, because you have to deal with that thing for a while till you have some bugs. But because in this game, you have several brands available and several models available, but everything needs to be bought. If I click here on an Abarth rally car or on an Abarth 124 Spider, I own it, so I don't know what the price of that thing is, but for instance an Abarth 500, it's 41,000 bucks. If I want to buy a rally version, because that is the thing what you have in this game with these different disciplines, you also need to buy different cars. Now Abarth is maybe not the best example of that, but for instance a Camaro RS 1969. That thing is not that expensive. You buy it in street, but yeah, that is fine. Then you can play around with it in street. But if you want that car again in other disciplines, you have to rebuy him. This is the rally rate version. It's gonna cost you 123,000 bucks. This is the rally cross version. It's gonna cost you 158,000 bucks. This is the touring car version. It's gonna cost you 273,000 bucks, and it goes on like that. And the same goes for, you have cars which are also available as monster truck, as you can see here, so that's extra disciplines. So you are buying the same car a couple of times for each of the disciplines if you want it. That is sort of the idea behind this. You have these missions that you can go to. You can do skill tests, you can do side missions, you can do the campaign missions itself, and that's all fine, and you will get there eventually. And bugs are not that hard to make it here. The prices of the cars are not that expensive. The most expensive car that you will find in this game is probably the Koenigsegg Regera, which is like 1.2, 1.3 million or something like that. So it is what it is. With the fast traveling thing, you can switch easily between 3 different vehicles. One for the land, one for the air, and one for the water. In this case, you can set those things as your favorites, whatever it is that you want. If you want the helicopter as your so-called air vehicle, that's not a problem. You can all set that all over the place. So that is already a big difference. You have to buy every single thing in this game. Now, it's a bit exaggerated probably, because yeah, you can make, if you play the game, that's not a problem, then you can make enough money to buy whatever it is that you want. My garage is full of cars and planes and boats, and I haven't done that extremely much in this game yet, so you will get there eventually. That is for the cars. The tuning, that's a bit of a different story. In Forza, of course, as you will see later, it's pretty simple. You just go to a tuning shop and you put in whatever engine you want there. You put some street, sport or race parts on it, and that's it. This thing works with levels. If I go to whatever car is out there, let's take this one here. If I go into performance, you have like 7 different things. You have brakes, you have gearbox, ECU, motor core, exhaust, suspension, and tires. This thing comes with a level of 229, but each of the disciplines have a different level. So for touring car, the maximum level is 320, which means you need 320 parts to put on that thing. So you have to start playing at 229 and you win some parts, which will be like 235 or 240 or whatever, and that would be all cool and fine if it would actually end up there. And then you have sort of eventually you're gonna get like a 320 setup, but that's gonna be a bit of grinding, a bit of much grinding to be honest, and then you have green parts, and that's all fine, and then everything is happy. And no, not really, because these green parts don't mean that much. Green is common parts, they don't do anything, and they do not have a bonus. Bonus is kind of important because, as you can see, you have blue and purple and yellow parts. Blue is rare, they come with 1 bonus. Purple is epic, they come with 2 bonuses, and those bonuses affect the performance of your car with like extra nitro and stuff like that. And then you have these legendary parts, which are also 2 bonuses. And if you can get a set of 7 yellow parts, you will actually also have a set bonus, which might be 2 times nitro duration, or that's more of a multiplier thing. So yeah, the best you want is 7 of these yellow parts. These yellow parts are only recently came into with an update, so at this moment most people just have blue and purple parts on their car, or both, or plain, or whatever. So the rest is again grinding, and the question behind that is why? Why would you want to grind for things which are not happening on the map anyway? Because you went through the campaign, you have done all the events. So the only reason you should grind or can grind is to beat your previous time or something on a certain track. I don't know. It is all a bit what it is. The tuning itself, if you go into here, you can go into pro settings, and then this is how you tune the car in this game, with some traction control and stuff like that, aero distribution, the grip from the front tire, the rear tire. So you have to play around with these things here to try to adjust your car to more or less behave the way you want it. That is how the tuning in this game works, more or less through a menu. And then you get some stats next to it, which if you change some things, those things will change, and then you sort of get an idea. So it's yeah, also that will coming back in Forza, sort of playing around with sliders to make your car more or less behave the way you want it to. But yeah, the performance is a big difference, of course. You cannot just swap whatever engine in here. That is not how it works. This is just a stock engine, and you can play around with levels of that thing. And if you have leveled it out, it will obviously be better than when you have it stock. But you need to grind a lot to get those parts. That is a bit of a problem. If we go back to the house, there's also other features playing around, of course. Let's go to this house here now. As well in this game as in the other game, you can of course also customize your vehicles. That means you can change the color. You have official colors, you have standard colors, metallic, chrome, and so on, and then you can even fine-tune them with saturation and all that. So more or less the same as in both games. Livery, you have your own livery which you can create. You can play around there with different things in the menu. You have exclusive liveries. You can see the top 100 of liveries. You can see the latest liveries that are made, and you can see liveries of your friends if they have one. At this moment it's not even lit up, so that means that none of my friends have a livery for this thing. And it's also recent is more or less grayed out, and that's because I haven't made myself one recently. So for this thing, so you can create a livery, and then you end up with that thing on here, and then you can share it. Sharing, it's just a way of your friends or whatever can get your livery. More or less that's what it comes down to. This is one I made for the Hurricane. Other than that, there's nothing involved here in getting bugs or legendary painter or that kind of stuff. You will not see that happening in this game. So it just, you can make a livery, it's just for yourself. You can share it. If your friends want it, they can download it, stuff like that. The only problem with that is it's more or less limited. You are limited to like 10 liveries in this thing, and if you want to make an 11th one, then you have to delete one of your previous liveries, and that also means that it will take it off the car that you have it on or so, unless you download it and buy the livery, because if you download a livery you have to pay for it, and if you buy your own livery, then you can get it back on your car, and then you can have an open spot to create a new livery, which is a bit, I don't know. You should be able to make 100 or 200 or 300 liveries, that's what it should be, but it's not. But at least we have a livery editor this time, which was not the case in Crew 1. So that is about the designs. Then what else do we have is something as a track creator is non-existent in this game. And by the looks of it, latest information is they're looking into it, and not enough people played with it in the Crew 1, where we had something, but yeah, the reason they didn't play with it is because we have this big map and they gave us 10 checkpoints that we can put on the track creator. On such a big map we should have 50 or 100 checkpoints to put, and that is how it should work. But no, they gave us 10, and then they're complaining afterwards that yeah, not many people are playing that, so we just left it out of the sequel. The sharing was worked with, so you could create a track and then it give you a code, and then the sharing was a bit of a problem, because then you had to try to get your code out there so that people could download your track, instead of working with like a simple blueprinting as they have in Forza. That would be like ideal. That is sort of yeah, the story of this game at the moment. So we went over the starter cars, we went over the map. The map is something that it definitely has going for it, because it's like 8 times or maybe even 10 times as big as Forza map. So that is definitely something. The campaigns, yeah, you have these different disciplines, while Forza mainly focuses on cars. Here you have bikes, you have boats, you have planes, you have hovercrafts, you have helicopter, whatever, Formula 1 cars, whatever it is that you can think of, it is in this game. So that more or less covers this ground up of this game, and then let's have a look on the other game. So we're gonna quit this game. What do you need to play this game is more or less a Uplay thing. You need this thing, which is Uplay, but yeah, that is the same for Forza Horizon 4, where you need the Xbox app to play the game, or Microsoft Store in case you have a VIP edition, because otherwise your VIP content does not show up in the game, and so on. It is a bit, yeah, it is what it is, eh? We're gonna do the same in this game, sort of do a roundup, and then afterwards talk about a little bit about the both of the things happening. But yeah, of course, since I'm live streaming this, we have to go into the setup first. This thing has dedicated servers, that is already a big difference. It also has all kind of settings for visuality. That, yeah, if you have the performance in your system to run this thing, you can run it on the highest settings that you can think of. 4K, triple screen, whatever, I don't know. But also here, I have it set more or less the same. Here is already a house. So instead of...
Welcome back, Dave.
Yes, thank you very much. No, I don't want to know all that. I just want to go here. So we start up this game. And also here you have starter cars. Just like in the Crew, you have 3 starter cars here that you can choose from. But it all doesn't matter that much in this game. Because in this game there is something as the Wheel of Fortune, and you have these wheel spins, and instead of the starter car being important, it doesn't matter that much. You just have to pick a starter car to do like your first 2 races or whatever, and from that moment on you already start getting wheel spins where you actually win cars, which is like ridiculous. I'm sorry to say, but it's ridiculous. So then we go to the map. That is sort of what we did in the crew as well. Yeah, as you can see, this map is it's zoomed out compared to or zoomed in compared to the crew 2, where I could show you the whole map at once. I cannot do that. I have to move the map here to make it happen. But what you see here, obviously, compared to the crew, is that this is not like things are situations. There is only one city here, and then you have all these little small towns. There is stuff happening on the map. That is the big difference with the crew already. So you have like all kind of events surrounding Edinburgh, all kind of events happening on the beach, all kind of stuff happening here as well. Here you have a Broadway, a little town here. Look at that, it's crowded with events. The Horizon Festival site, and then all kind of stuff on the side as well, on the lake, around the lake, or all over that map. It's way smaller, but there is things happening all over the map. That is something you don't have these empty spots about. So if you compare the map sizes, this is way smaller, but there's more stuff happening on the map. So the campaign, yeah, you sort of have to look at it like this. If you put the campaign is sort of split. In the crew you have these 15-16 disciplines. Here you have road racing, dirt racing, cross country series, street scene, the drag strip, and then yeah, they sort of try to fit in drift as well, but I don't see it as a story, because yeah, the drift story on itself is just like do all the drift zones which are out there, and those are more or less skill tests. But yeah, I can add them to it, and then you sort of get this. That's sort of what we had in the previous part of the stream/video, was that the map with all the events that you saw on the crew. That's sort of what we have now. So this is like the campaign. You have the road series, which is blue. You have the dirt series, which is everything orange. Green is cross country. These gold things are the street scene. The pink is the drag strip story thing, and then you have the drift zones, which are more or less, yeah, called the drift story. But it's basically you have to do all the drift zones. That's about it. So, and then you see, just like in the crew, basically all kind of stuff happening on the map, event-wise. So there, at this moment in time, we're still equal, let's put it that way, because yeah, you have a campaign to go through, you have different events on your map, all over the map, although it's a bit more crowded here, because it's a way smaller map, so the things are happening here for sure. But then we come to the side missions. In the crew you had like these live extreme series things. There were 4 or 5 episodes of that, and that was it. That's a bit different here. Here you have side stories happening. I don't even know if I can... oh, here. Stories and businesses. Now, if you look at it like that, there are only 4. If you look at it like that, but it's not really the case, because yeah, here you have like the stunt driver. It's a story mode, but it has 10 chapters, and each of these chapters are usually you have to drive to a location, and once you are there you have to do a stunt of some sort. These things do not take long, but there are 10 different things in each of these stories. So if you compare it to the crew, where you had like 5-6 live extreme episodes, here you have 40 episodes of these things, because you have 10 here. You have La Racer at Horizon, which is another story, also there 10, that's already 20. Here you have the Drift Club, all kind of drift things that you have to do, also here 10 chapters going. And then you have the business that you can buy, and then you can do all of those things as well. If you have it at 30 stars, you even get a payout from a sort of a daily payout from that thing. So that's like 40 side things to do, compared to the 5-6 things that we can do in the live extreme series in the crew. Then we come to the skill test. There were a bunch of skill tests happening, slalom, speed trap, all that kind of stuff in the crew. It's no different here. You have speed traps, you have speed zones, and you have danger signs, which are more or less jumps. And then you can see on the map all over the place, you will find those things and you can do them. That is more or less the same in both games as well. So campaign stories and skill tests more or less are equally divided. It's just like the side missions is, here we have 40 chapters, in the crew you have 5-6 episodes. That is a bit more content here, I should say. In the crew you had the photo mode things, which are part of the campaign. Here you have something as let's have a look here, the photographer. But that basically just means that you have to take some pictures, and whenever you take a picture, you will level up the more pictures you take. So it's not like story based that you have to take something specific into a. It's most about cars and stuff like that. Then we go to buying cars. Yeah, that is probably the biggest problem that I have with this game, is that I like to put effort into a game, and that is not something. It is, yeah, both of the games do not have it like spot on, because like in the crew it is just you have to buy everything, and especially the grinding for the performance part is annoying as hell, because I don't mind the grinding if to unlock a certain part, and then if you could buy those parts, that would be like spot on. Then people will get there eventually. But now you have to grind with every single car, because there's not some sort of tuner shop where you can buy parts. So you have to keep grinding and grinding and grinding for no reason at all, and you cannot buy your parts. That is something I want to see. I want to see a performance tuner shop part or something. Once you have unlocked the maximum level part, that you can go to that shop and just buy that part for all the other cars you have in that discipline. And from what I make of it, I directly asked it to Fergus himself. He has no intention at bringing that anytime soon. So the grinding is going to keep going, which is not that big of a deal, apparently, according to him, but it's a big of a deal for players. They want to buy parts once they have unlocked them. But that's not any of that is an issue in this game. Because if we go to cars, I'm playing this game for 1 week. I have bought, now listen very carefully, 1 car. I've spent 20,000 credits on 1 car. I have in my garage 193 cars. None of them I have bought. There are cars there which are worth 10 million bucks. I just won them from a bloody wheel spin. Or a normal wheel spin. You win all these kind of cars. Of course, the good ones, the Forza Edition, and the expensive cars, you're gonna have to go for super wheel spins. But these wheel spins, you constantly get them. Every time you level up. I am not level 5, by the way. I am prestige level 5, and that means that prestige is, once you reach level 200, you will switch into the prestige mode, and you will actually get that one with a star here next to your name, and the damn thing starts counting again. So I'm level 205. That's what it comes down to. So it is like, yeah, and look at this. You have all of these cars. Some of them are like, this is a James Bond pack. Okay, that's a VIP pack. But other than that, all of these cars are things that I just won going through the campaign, leveling up, wheel spin, super wheel spin, that kind of thing. 193 cars, and I bought 1 single car, and that was not because I wanted to, because I had more or less had to. You needed a retro hot hatch for the weekly Forzathon thing last week, so I just bought this Corrado for, as you can see, 20,000 credits. It's the only thing I bought, and then I didn't even bother to go to the auction house to get it cheaper. I just bought the thing from the auto show for 20,000 full price. And that is one of the problems that I have with this game. It's just like ridiculous. You play for a week, you have 200 cars in your garage. I don't find that normal. There is no effort at all needed to get cars in this game. They throw them at your head. There is a little bit of catch in this game compared to the previous title of this franchise, and that is that the tuning is pretty much expensive. If you want to, you have these cars, you get these cars. That's the way I see it now, is that they more or less give you the cars from the auto show. But yeah, then of course they are stock. If you just want to cruise around in it, yeah, then they indeed gave you 200 cars and you can drive around in them in stock. If you want to tune it, then it's going to cost you some money. Some of these tunes are costing 3, 4, 500,000. Not so sure what the idea behind that is, because that also means that if you're not good at tuning, if you're not mechanic, you have no idea what you're doing, then sometimes it's more interesting to download a tune from somebody else. But it's a bit of a risk now, because you have to pay 3, 4, 500,000 credits to download the tune from somebody, and you don't even know if it's a good tune. So yeah, that can be very expensive. If you download that thing, 500,000, and it doesn't work, then you have to do a custom upgrade yourself, which is gonna cost you another 500,000. So I don't know. It is what it is. Then we come to the performance parts. In this game, non-existent. In the crew, you have the grinding with levels and fine. Here you go into whatever car it is you have. You go into custom upgrade and you put in there whatever it is they have. And then you have the situation, ridiculously situation, I should say. It would be the tuning would be found if they had like the original engine or real life engines. Let's say you get a stock engine, a 1.6 liter engine, but that car that you're driving also has a 2 liter turbo or a 2.5 V6. That you would have like the options of those engines available to put in the game. I could understand, but like this, it's ridiculous. This is a Ford Transit. It probably has like a 1.8 liter petrol engine and then a couple of diesel engines in real life, and that is it. This time you can tune this thing. You can put a V12 Lamborghini engine in it. This thing comes with a better handling and acceleration stat than most of the cars in this game. And this is like a trolling van. It is a trolling van. Look at the sound already. Now the driving. If you take this thing online and you come up against some people who are not that good at driving, like myself here, then you're just going to smoke this. Off-road, not a problem, huh? This thing keeps going off-road, on the road. Let's go. Not a problem. Just switch over it. It's like for these online things there where, what's it called, the free roam missions. Brakes are good, handling is good, like I said. They have a stat of 10. 10.0 for brakes, 10.0 for handling, for acceleration. And even the speed is not bad. This thing goes towards 380, 390 kilometers an hour. But seriously, if you take this thing into an online lobby, you're gonna smoke people. Especially in summer season. It's autumn now, which means that there are some leaves here and there on the road, and you're gonna slide more. Can drift as well. Jumping, not a problem. You will land perfectly. Unless you like really go crazy, might end up on your side. Barely moves if you take it upright. Some of the Jeeps out there, they jump more than this thing. This is really like, and that's one of those things. In real life, a couple of diesel engines and maybe one petrol engine, that will be it, like at least in Europe. But here you can, yeah, that's no problem. Just swap. Let's put a V12 in it and go crazy with it. Very sure that if you take this online, as you can already see it, for instance, on I Suck at Driving has a video about this. Attack Johnson also have a video about this. They're taking this thing online and they're smoking the kids in it. It's like ridiculous. Going over 350 kilometers an hour in a bloody transit van. This is one of those things, yeah. It's a bit of a trolling thing, but the idea behind it, why I'm showing this thing, is that, yeah, it's the same for every single car. You have more variety in this game than in the crew, but yeah, you have 450 cars, or whatever, or 475, or whatever it is. That's all fine, but if everybody puts a V12 Lamborghini engine into every single car in this game, then you don't have 450 cars. Then you have one car, because they all use the same. They have a different brand, a different model skin, but underneath, they all driving a V12 Lamborghini engine. I mean, look at this thing. Corners like crazy. I'm in a transit van. What the hell? Sticks to the road probably better than most of the supercars. Don't think I can go that fast in yeah, Lamborghini maybe. But some of these Ferraris are sliding like crazy. Probably will not survive half the corners. But this thing is like ridiculous. And at this moment in time, let's have a look. S2998. It can even go to X, so it can even go faster if you want. This is yeah, that's a bit of a problem. Next to the fact that they throw all these cars at you, swapping these engines in every single bloody vehicle, I find it stupid as hell. Sorry to say so, but that is what it is. The tuning, yeah, for the tuning we have to go into the festival thing. So in the crew you have that thing going with the level of parts that you go through. But like here, like I mentioned before, you just click on upgrades, you go on custom upgrade. Current car is locked, so yeah, it's not one of mine, obviously. Don't want to do that now, but you can go in here, you can put street sport race parts on it, for brakes, for transmission, for the driveline, whatever. You can swap engines, like that's why we have a V12 in a bloody van here now. It's all a bit, it's, yeah, you can do whatever you want with it. You can also go for auto upgrade. If you click auto upgrade, you might get a few options in the different classes that there are. So like you get options for a B class, and then your mechanic thing calling you, and it says, let me count it, and then he does a count, and you get like an A800 or an S1900, and they give you a proposition, and then you can put it on. But then you can still customize it and tune it as you will. There are also body kits present for some of the cars, or you can find new tunes by some other players which you can download. But as I said, it's pretty expensive in this game, so it is a bit of a risk. If you download a tune from somebody else, you don't know that guy, you don't know if he's a good driver or stuff like that. You can spend a couple of $100,000 just downloading a tune which might not be good. Myself, yeah, I'm playing around a bit now because of that reason. I'm playing around a bit with the tuning myself, but yeah, it's not that easy. If you're not like familiar with it, then and that is just like, okay, putting on the parts like street sport and race parts, okay, that is fine. But then you come into this tuning, which is not. I need to get another car to show it to you guys, which is something that I tuned myself. Oh, good question. The Hurricane, I think. Let's go in here again. Yeah, now we can go in here. So here you have like these things here. Usually you start here, and then you have the engine. It's a stock powertrain S1900. You can put a racing V12 in it, and then go from there. And then you can put turbos on it. You can put all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive setup. You can put body kits on it, and so on. And then of course you have the parts itself, where you have different intake, manifold, fuel system, and there you have a stock version, and then you have a race version. In most of the cars you also have street or sport that you can put on, and then you can play around with that sort of to get a certain level, to get to a certain level. You can also do auto upgrade. As you can see, I have it in S1900 now. You can also say, okay, I want it in S2, and then click on that, and then it will calculate if it's possible, and then it will give you the best option possible. I don't know if this thing can actually go to S2 998. Probably not. It will probably be the Aventador, I'm guessing. So I have it in S1900 now. Also, it's body kits stuff, and then you come into the tuning, and then and that's where you need the mechanic, or you need to know what you're doing, or you need to know the game itself or how it works. In general, I would say, just go for the gearing, play around with the final drive at least, put it more to the acceleration or the speed thing, play around with that a bit. If you're familiar with it, you can also mess with the gear ratios itself. If you want, the brake is also, usually you have to play around a bit with front, rear, change it there if you have some issues with the brake, changing the brake pressure. Playing on a keyboard, I usually have to put the pressure higher, because otherwise the cars do not stop. It is what it is. And then all the rest is like, you have differential, all kind of stuff. It's all fine if you know what it does. You have the aero, that is also something you have to play around with, but very often it is locked. In this case I'm using a body kit, so that means that the front spoiler is unlocked, so you can play around with that. The rear is probably a set wing which you cannot change, and then it's locked. So it depends on what kind of stuff you put on front wing, on the front bumper, on the rear bumper. Depends if you have those things on, if these things are locked or unlocked, so that you can play around with the damping, rebounds, bumps. It's for jumps and stuff. The springs as well, suspension stuff, anti-roll bars. There you can play around with it to get oversteer or understeer depending on what your preference is. The alignment is not that big of a deal here. If you're gonna set up a drift car, of course you have to go play around with the camber for sure. That has to be front as negative as possible, and the rear play around with it a bit, -2 or so, and then you might be able to get like a proper drift car going. But in general, tire pressure you can play around with if you want. The gearing, it's something I always change, like the final drive, play around with that, and the brakes for sure. And the aero, if it is available, can help you make the car more stable for cornering or for high speed, depending on what it is that you need. To make a drag car, you're probably going to want not so much cornering going, because that's no need. You just have to go into a straight line. That's for the tuning, and as well as for the performance, less complicated than, well, it is. The tuning itself is complicated if you don't understand what you're doing, but the custom upgrade is not that complicated. You just put in parts till you have like a good setup going with the race parts or sport parts or stuff like that. Then we come to the designs. In the Crew 2, as I showed, there's like a livery editor and you can share that. Other than that, there's not much happening. Over here, it's a bit of a different story. Here you can make all kind of designs. This one is one that I downloaded, kind of found it funny, the DSL thing. But all the rest is things that I've made. I have about 100 or so going, which a lot of them were just synced from Forza Horizon 3. And that is also something that I have a problem with in this game. Although I've synced and imported those liveries, I made them myself in Forza Horizon 3. Like especially with where are they? All these Porsches here. Was like a thing going in Forza Horizon. Now you can just buy the Porsches and drive around with them. In Forza Horizon 3, there was none of them was available in the auto show. They were either VIP or they were Forzaton. So all these Porsches, yeah. If you were active in the auction house, you wanted to have some liveries on it. So all of these Porsche liveries, I just synced it from Forza Horizon 3, and I have a problem with it myself, because I find that like if you're new into this game, you're always way behind. Because then you have to create your own liveries, while these other guys, I only have 100, but there are people out there who have like 300 different designs. They just sync them from previous Forza titles. They immediately share it, and the sharing is a thing in this game. That is the problem with it. Because what does the sharing mean? They made it a bit more complicated. Because normally you could just share and unshare like crazy. And for instance, if I take this Touareg here, as you can see, 0 downloads, 0 uses, 0 likes. And the reason for that is pretty simple. It is out there. All my designs, all those 100 designs that you see here are shared. But if people don't come to your storefront, more than likely they will not see it. Because the top things that you see there are, most of the time, are 5-star painters, legendary painters in other words. And that's where this thing all comes down to. Now in this game, if you share it, it's not just like press a button and share it. No, you first have to fill in the brand and then the model and then this and then that. So you have to, it takes way longer just to share, and probably something that they did to counterfeit all of those legendary paintings, constantly sharing, unsharing a couple of times a day. That's how they got those downloads. But there's not much sense in it. If I go to my creative hub, I have about, what is it now, 44 downloads or something, and I'm playing for a couple of days. And then the strangest part of it all is, if I go in here, if I check my designs, it will put it in order like the most popular. Like in the crew, in Forza Horizon 3, when I shared, for instance, this RMD D-Type, I got like, a download a day or so at best, because most of the time people could not see the design or whatever. Now it is my most popular design here so far. I have 44 downloads in total. I have 19 downloads on this thing and I have 2 likes on it. So suddenly this is like a popular thing. I have no idea why. These, there were certain which were like pretty okay in, what is that thing? This one? No. So the replica. All these things here, this Illumi thing. There is one which is sort of working. This is shown somewhere at some point because I have 1 download on this one here, the green one, but I know for sure that this blue one and this violet purple thing were even more popular in Forza Horizon 3. And now they have 0 downloads because they do not show up. They just do not show up. If I look for a design, I have several teammates about, if I look for a design of one of my teammates, I can't find it. I can't find it unless I look or search for the creator's info. In other words, I type in the name of one of my teammates and then I see his designs. Other than that, I do not see it. If I get a car, then you can go to like, okay, I want to see, let's have a look on the new liveries. And then they give you like a list of 15-20 liveries which are available, which are made by other people. My teammates are just not there. So it's already strange that you do not see at least your friends' liveries. That is something that you do have in the crew. You can select a button, as I showed before, friends, and then you can see the liveries of your friends at least. Because now you have like these, you have these people. They had the game like pre-release, and they are already playing for 2 weeks. They have made tunes. They have made all kind of designs and liveries and such. Yeah, they are in no time they are like a rank 5 or a rank 6, which means that you are a legendary painter. And that thing comes into play in the auction house. And that is something I totally do not agree with here, with this whole whatchamadoodle thing. I don't find it normal that if you buy a simple car, which is worth like, or it's one of those campaign cars that you can't buy, that's what it usually, that's where the big deal is. These campaign cars and Forzathon cars, you cannot buy them in the auto show. So the only way to get them is in the auction house from people putting the thing up. But some of these people, they don't even bother tuning these cars. They just put them up in stock with their paint on, and just because they can. Let's see if we can find something. I'm pretty sure there are already legendary painters about. I'm thinking maybe one of the Bugattis or so. Let's see what they have about. We already have a buyout for 9 million here. Let's see. So far, it seems that the legendary painters have not been into this market yet. Like for instance for the Chiron. Because if they are legendary painters, what usually happens is they buy the whole whatchamadoodle of that. For instance, the Chiron, they just if there are not that many about, they just buy them out. They buy them out and they are starting to control the market of that car. And if they are legendary painter, meaning rank 5, rank 6, they can ask 20 million for every single car. That goes from starting bid to buyout. And that's where the problem comes in. That's how these legendary painters always have amount of bucks, because they are controlling certain markets. I can't remember what car it was that I saw yesterday. I thought, oh my god, here we go again. Like for instance, last week we had the Porsche 911 GT3 RS, but in 2019 version, which is completely new. This one. Ah, here we go. No auctions to display. Please try again later. So they are already controlling this Porsche market. This Porsche 911, which was the first Forza car ever in this game, that's going to be something special. So there were some available a couple of days ago. So they are buying them out already now. So they are controlling the market. There is, as you can see here, there is not one single one in the auction house. So now they are keeping those cars in their garage till they are 5-star, until they can actually ask 20 million for it. And then you're gonna see these Porsches pop up here occasionally with their livery on it. Not that the livery matters, it just they want to get 20 million. They put the starting bid on 20 million, the buyout on 20 million, and people are buying out that Porsche for 20 million because, yeah, they want it, they have the bucks, and they just buy the thing. Controlling the market, and that's why I have an issue with those design things. The auction house can be a fun thing, but not if you're going to get like legendary painters rule the whole market thing there. No. But yeah, it is something to play around in if you like it, if you want it. That's not something you will be able to find in the crew. Let's see, what else do we have? The designs we talked about. The track creator. Yeah, in the crew too, at the moment it's not coming because not enough people were playing it, because, I don't know, he decided to not bring the thing for some reason or another. In this game it's completely different. Here they are going to bring it. I believe it's coming in October 25th, and you're gonna have like a track creator. You have all these kind of events on the map, but I guess I have to drive to one to I see an icon there somewhere. So all these events on the maps is gonna be like your starting point for the track creator. If you go in there, you can go solo, you can go co-op, you can PvP, you can go rivals, and there will be another option available soon, and that will tell you like some blueprinting of the track itself. And that means that you get 40 miles of road that you can use. So, and it pretty much comes down to this. You put a starting point. Let's say we put a starting point here, and this is where our track starts. And then where you go from there is you drive it. You drive your track and say, okay, I don't want to go left or right here, so I'm gonna put a checkpoint here. You can just press a button or whatever and you drop a checkpoint. If you dropped it a bit too much to the right, you can always rewind. And then you can reset that checkpoint a bit more to the left, a bit more to the right, a bit more front, a bit more behind, whatever it is that where you want it, up, and then you go back on again. And then you drive on. So you sort of have to drive your track and sort of create your track that way by putting checkpoints all over the place, where you want them, as many as you want it, and you can do that for like 40 miles. You want to go off-road, that's fine, then you just go this way and you put a checkpoint here or something, and people will have to drive here that way. And then once you have done that, you need to save the thing, and you have to sort of do, let's say, a first run on it. And after you've done that, then you can share the thing. You can share the thing so you can your friends can find it, other people can find it, and then the good ones the tracks that they like. Playgrounds are going to put in even a different category next to the solo polo and so on. Even have a different category, and that will be like their favorite top 10 or top 50 or whatever. And then you can have a look on the really good tracks, or what they find good, because it can be all what it is. That sort of covers it, which leaves us with, yeah, it is an open world game, it is a multiplayer game, and both of them are, as well the Crew 2 as this game are multiplayer. Now, I don't know what is going on in 2018, but multiplayer is something that none of these people seem to understand. They are developing it and designing it, and they do not get it, apparently. In this game, there is not some sort of lobby where you can go to PvP. No, you have team adventure. And that already says it all. The whole thing is bloody set up on teams, which means you are dependent from other players. That means that if you make mistakes, you are responsible for your mistake and you are letting the team down. If you don't make mistakes, but you are driving with a bunch of idiots or people that can't drive, or some kids that just want to play around or whatever, you might be a very good driver, you might even win 15-30 seconds ahead of everybody else. You still have a chance you're going to get deranked, because the whole damn thing is based on teams. It's blue team versus red team. If you just happen and it's random, you go in there, the system puts like people together. Of course, you can sort of create your own list, I guess, and invite people into your convoy, and then you can sort of that way create your own team, which brings other problems with it as well. So either you play with a random team, which means, yeah, your ranking in the whole system is based on other people. That can never ever be a good thing. Because, yeah, if you're a really good driver and you really want to get like the highest rank available in the game, whatever that is, then, yeah, you are depending on other people to get there. That is so piss poor shit design. I'm sorry to say so, but that's what it is. And then, of course, yeah, the other option is, oh, but that's okay. I will just find a team with good drivers, and then you're gonna get these elite driving teams, and that means that one or two are driving for the result, and then you will have like a blocker, or somebody is providing the draft. Another one will be like ramming out the competition or blocking the competition. Then you're gonna get that sort of thing happening. In that, you already see it now happening occasionally. You see people with like the same club tag, and then you already know, like, okay, I'm up against a real team here. It's not like some other. It's possible that you get like random team versus random team. Okay, then you might get like a bit of a fight going. But I don't know. If, in my opinion, at least the collisions should be off. Should be ghost mode racing, I guess, because of that will already avoid the ramming situation. I don't know what it is with gaming companies lately and PvP, but Forza has team adventures. The Crew has none. The game released in June and it had no PvP. No PvP at all. It was announced it will come in December. How is it gonna look like? We don't know. Well, that is a lie. I do know, because it has been presented to myself and other members of TPC, but seeing we are under NDA, we cannot say much about it, and I think that's pretty much a pretty wise decision from them, because if I had something to say, it probably would not be pretty. So the point is, PvP 2018, I don't know. They do not seem to understand it. Not at Ivory Tower, not at Playgrounds. In Playgrounds, they come up with some team thing where you're depending on other players. And on Ivory Tower, they decided, like, oh no, we'll just wait 6 months before we bring it. In an open world online racing game. I have no idea. No idea what you are thinking, but both of them have messed it up. Then, of course, if you also consider the third player into play, if you consider that a player, EA, yeah, they're also completely missed the ball there, because they have some sort of ranking system which, yeah, makes you lose points when, or some bug or whatever it is. You lose points when you're actually winning and stuff like that. Other than that, they also had nothing on release. They had to bring it later. We had these stupid speed listings. That's even worse. Everything has to be done with voting. That goes in all kind of games. I don't know what they have with this voting. Just go into a lobby, vote or pick your race. I can understand, but all that other crap needs to be there before you go into the lobby. Some sort of filter where you select, I only want to race. I want to race with collisions off. Let's go find me a lobby. You come into a lobby with other people that think alike. If there are people there, I just want to play playgrounds. I want to do crown and blitz or flag, whatever. Okay, you're gonna get those people together in lobbies as well because they put the filters on before they go into the lobby. So you have like always people thinking alike that you're gonna meet, and they just gonna do whatever it is that they do, whether it's a playground game or some crown or blitz, or if it's racing, proper racing. People will meet each other. That is the idea. Now, both of these games cost $100. So I guess we have to compare them on release, and I think that it's more or less fair to say that at this moment in time, Forza has presented and represented more what players want to see than the crew does. It's as simple as that. You cannot turn around that. This thing is full of events. There's all kind of stuff to do. You can have fun with friends. You can have you can play PvP. It's not the best setup ever, but at least you can play it. You have all these cars that you can play around with, customize them, take pictures, whatever it is you want. It's also in this game, just like in the other game. So it basically is going to come down to what it is that you want to do. If you're like a cruiser and you want to drive around for miles, yeah, then you might end up with the crew, because that's like probably 8-10 times the size of this map. So for cruising purposes, definitely. But if you want to do specific things on a map, which we haven't talked about yet, you have these bonfires, you have these billboards to look for. So there are things happening on this map. As I shown in the crew before, I was flying around there in my plane. Yes, you have all kind of different vehicles going, but you're not flying anywhere because there is nothing to. There is no bonfire, there is no billboards to find, there is nothing there. That is something which is lacking. Points of interest to go to explore the map. You do have them here because people want to find those billboards, they want to find those bonfires. So by doing that, they automatically explore the map. So that is something that's definitely missing in the crew. That is something what this thing is ahead. Other than that, this is a smaller map, but as you can see, it's full of events. Main events, campaign events, side missions, story missions. You have a track creator coming. Yeah, the conclusion is pretty simple. $100. If I only had $100, I have to choose between the two games. At this moment in time, I would go for this one. That was more or less it for this stream/video. A comparison between the two games. How do they work? They not really competition, because in a way they are different games, different styles. Here it's all about cars and throw all the cars at your head, which is something I hate. The other game you have to put way more effort into it. I kind of like that. Just the grinding itself for the parts is a bit, that's overdoing it. So it is a bit what you want, and or you can just do as myself, and you just play both games and try to enjoy both games. Also in the community, it always has to be something like those two communities against each other. There is no need for that. Both games can pretty much work aside each other, and as in my case, I just play both, and you enjoy both in a different way. That is more or less what you have to do. But if you only had $100 and I had to make a choice, then at this moment I would go for this one, and then probably in summer 2019 I would buy the Crew 2 when all the free content which they are bringing in the upcoming 11 months, when that is into the game, and then the game might look completely different. But we will see. At this moment in time, I don't know. So that will be it for this one. I will see you guys in the next one, and bye for now.